Hey everybody, it's David W. Stock here. It's Financial Freedom Fridays, and today, as you can see, I have my favorite Financial Freedom Friday guest back on. It's Tricie, and we are going to talk about estate planning today. So don't run away now. This is a lot more interesting than you think. I know when I hear estate planning, I'm like, oh no. But I actually went through this presentation a little bit earlier with Tracy, and there's definitely some gold to be mined in this one. Let me tell you, if you have any kind of interest in um, tuning up your financial picture, this is something that you really want to be aware of. So, Tracy, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me again. This
Yeah,
is,
no,
I agree with you. This is such a topic that not a lot of people like to talk about, but it's very, very important. And it's the best thing that we can do for our families, to be honest with you.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I have your slide up here, so you can go ahead and start the slides.
Okay. All right. First of all, thank you again for having me here. I'd like to say hello to everyone listening and watching. Um, well, we're going to be talking today about estate planning. And I know talking about estate planning is not easy. It's a lot of people are afraid to start it. A lot of people are afraid to have the discussion about it. But like I said earlier, it will make things harder for our loved ones if we don't do it now. So it's one of the most thoughtful things that we can do for our loved ones, and it's just something that we definitely need to do, and we need to understand the impact of not doing it right now. So let me take you through just a few slides here. What is estate planning? When a lot of people, when you hear about estate planning, what do you think about? You think about the living will, but there's a lot more things into estate planning than we think. It's a process of determining the distribution of your assets upon your death, and it also covers the management of your personal and professional affairs in the event of incapacity. We're very, we're trained to think positively, and we think that nothing's going to happen to us. We're all going to be fine. We'll be in perfect health. We'll always be in control of everything that we're doing right now. But accidents happen, illness happens, and certain things just happens with unexpectedly, and we don't really know what's going to happen to us. That is the reality of things, and we need to be prepared when that time happens. So a lot of people say, do I have an estate? I mean, I don't. I just have a house, and I don't really have a lot of properties. I don't own businesses, but I don't. Do I need one? The answer is your estate is all that you own minus your debt, basically your net worth, right? Um, if you have a car, your home, other real estate. I know, Dave, you have other properties that you have, that you've purchased before. Bank accounts, checking, savings, CDs, the stocks, bonds, mutual funds, um, retirement pension plans and annuities, even your furniture and personal possessions, those are part of your estate. If you have antiques and or antique jewelry that your your grandparents have given you, those are all part of your estate. If you own a business, if you're a sole proprietor, corporation, LLC, partnership, that's all part of it. So, what are the basic planning documents? We're going to go through this one by one. The first and the most popular kind is the last will and testament. Basically, this is a document where it will discuss who you want to inherit everything that you own. In this type of document, you will identify who's going to be the executor of your will. Basically, it's somebody that you trust, and will give the best, your beneficiaries the best. It will be in their best interest, not in their own. It's not an easy job to be an executor. What you will have to make sure as an executor is that everything on the will is carried through. That means if you need to sell property, you will have to take care of that. If you need to talk to the family, you will have to take care of that. And sometimes if there are things going on, you also need to take care of that, unfortunately. If you're, especially if you're not related to the person that you're an executor for. Um, but that basically gives the executor the power to make it happen because it's in writing. So you need to make sure whoever you're going to be, if you're going to assign somebody to be an executor, first of all, make sure they know, because not a lot of people, not everybody will be up for the challenge. So if you find
Right.
somebody that you trust, you sort of need to ask them first, are you okay if I assign you to be my executor? And once they're okay with that, then you can go on. You will also identify here, if you're married, who your spouse is, and you will identify your children, the ages, and in this document, you will say, if you have minor children, who's going to be their guardian if something is to happen to you, right? That is a very important thing. I don't have minor children anymore, but if you have minor children, you do have minor children, right, Tate?
Yes, I do.
Yes. So what happens is, if what the government will make a decision for you if you don't make a decision, so it depends on, they usually look for the next of kin. But what happens if the next of kin is somebody that they have never met before, somebody that they don't like, somebody who will not be able to take care of them to their best interest. So it is best to assign that person, even now. So for me, when my kids were young, I assigned my cousin in Virginia to take care of them, because I know that she will do whatever she can to take care of them. But that is very important. You will also indicate in this document who's going to inherit your estate, your house, your properties, any accounts that you have without beneficiaries. That's a separate thing. When you have certain retirement accounts, life insurance, and even savings and checking accounts have beneficiaries. If you are able to assign those, that would be best. So it doesn't have to go through the will, right? If beneficiaries come first, okay? So anybody without beneficiaries, that would be your house, that would be your car, that would be anything else that you own, the will have to take care of that. And it also talks about if for example, the whole family dies in that event. For example, you were on a plane and it crashes, hopefully not. But what happens to the rest of the estate? Who is it going to go to? If you don't have a will, the government will make a decision. They will look for whoever is next to give the estate to. And if nobody claims it, it goes to the government. It just happens. It's unclaimed property. It will stay there for a while, and then after that, it's property. It's state property.
Right.
And so you don't want that. I mean, these are properties and things that you've really worked your life, for hard for. And so even if you have a basic, even if you have to write it down and sign it, leave it in your house, that's better than nothing. So and also the last will and testament, that's readily available. You can go to Staples and buy a a fill in the blanks format. You can do that in New Jersey. I don't know about where you're in Canada. In New Jersey we don't have to notarize it actually, but I always suggest people to notarize it anyway, just to make it non-contestable.
Right.
So that's the last will and testament. Another thing is advance directive. The advance directive is basically, it's the same as your as a health what do you call it? It's a health directive or advanced directive. It depends on, people call it differently. But basically, this is what they're going to do to you if you are unable to make a decision. If I'm incapacitated, if I'm in the ICU and I cannot speak, I'm not awake. And I want them to understand that I don't want to be resuscitated. This document takes care of that. If they plug me and I don't want that, this document will take care of that. If I'm going to be a vegetable all my life and I don't want to continue being a vegetable and I want them to not, um, hook up things to me, to my body to keep me alive, this document will make it, will take care of that. And why is this important? I know it's never easy to talk about death, being incapacitated. It's not easy. However, if I get into an accident and I'm incapacitated and I can't make a decision for me, I don't want my husband or I don't want my kids to be the ones making a decision. I don't want them to be talking about should we pull the plug or not. I don't want that guilt to be on anybody's shoulder, right? Because if they know that I don't want to be plugged in, I don't want to be on a ventilator all my life, or if they know, then the decision will be easy. It's going to be hard in terms of emotionally speaking, it's going to be hard, but nobody will have to take the responsibility of making that decision. And I believe, my father had to do that for their parents. I think their mother, my grandmother, they had to make that decision, and up until the end, it still haunts them, because there's always that, what if we didn't, right? What if we didn't? Would she have lived longer? Would she have lived quality life? But again, this is very important. Another one is the financial power of attorney. If I am incapacitated and I need to make transactions for properties that I own, I want somebody else to take care of that for me, because without this document, nobody can touch it. It's good if I don't want anybody to touch it, but if I'm incapacitated, I want somebody else to take care of that. Otherwise, again, the government will make that decision for you. Durable power of attorney for healthcare decisions is the same, similar to the advanced directive. Again, decisions, healthcare wise, that's what that document is for. And then HIPAA. HIPAA it's the form that you sign in to give the doctors the permission to keep your records, and it also tells them that they're not just going to be sharing that information to anybody. So that is also important.
Right.
I
So
want to
some
share
of
with you.
those,
Yeah.
I just want to jump in just for one sec here.
Mhm.
All of those things are applicable in the United States, and I'm not really up to speed on which ones
Mhm.
are applicable in Canada. I think we have probably a health insurance portability
Mhm.
uh, instrument in Canada, but it would have a different name. And then
Yeah.
as far as power of attorney for healthcare decisions, I'm not 100% sure about that one. And then the first three, the last will and testament, advance directive, and financial power of attorney, I'm pretty sure are applicable in Canada.
You know what? I can actually, I keep on saying this, but I can actually find that out for you. Um, I have friends in Canada that I can talk to and see what the equivalent is, and I'll put that in the comment afterwards.
Yeah,
Uh, but I would assume that there would be something similar, either one whole document that covers all of these, or separate documents just as these, right?
right.
Okay, so just to put in some statistics, and again, this is, for the U.S., but then I would say it's very close in Canada. Um, just 4 in 10 U.S. adults have a will. That's actually 63% to be exact do not have a will. That means, for every 10 people, only four have wills. What happened to the other six? What are they doing? What's going to happen if something is to happen to them, right? If you have children, a will is critical. Like I said earlier, only 30% of parents with children under 18 have wills. That is scary.
Yeah.
78% of millennials do not have a will. Well, I get it. I understand they think that they're still young, but that is still important. Um, Very important, even for millennials, even for people in college. For my daughter, she's a junior now in college. Last year, before her sophomore year, I made her create a will and an advance directive, because now that she is 18, if something happens to her and she becomes incapacitated in Pittsburgh, where she studies, I will not be able to know and understand and have access. I won't have access to whatever's happening to her if I don't have that power of attorney and the healthcare directive. If I So I made her do all of that before she left. Create a will, power of attorney, and also the healthcare directive. So I know what she wants. It's a sad discussion, but at least I know what she wants, and I plan to do that for my son as well because he turned 18 last December. So I'm gonna have him do that as well to at least appoint me and my husband for to be aware of their health situation, especially when they go away.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people think that it's a sad discussion, but how did you feel after it was done?
Well, I at least I know that if something happens to my daughter, I mean, at least I know that I can go there and just show them the document. Now tell me what needs to be done. I heard of stories upon stories wherein this happened and they just don't know. The hospital won't share anything with them. And even now, actually, me and my daughter, before she left for school, we went for a COVID test. And so a couple of weeks, it's too long. It took them too long. But I got a call and said, okay, your test was negative, and et cetera, et cetera. We did that as a precaution because she was going to go back. And I did it anyway because I'm going to be with her. And so I asked them, I said, so I would imagine I won't be able to know what my daughter's result would be was. And she said, no, unfortunately I can't. So even with that, I'm like, come on. When I got them, the initially my son and her also, we got them tested just to be sure. Um, they went into the room just by themselves, not with me, without me anymore. I'm like, no. I'm so used to being with them, but I just had to wait outside because now I am not allowed. But it is very important. It is very, I felt such a relief just knowing that. Hopefully I don't have to use it. And I'm hoping it's just going to be there forever. But if it does happen, at least I know I have that.
Yeah.
So even just talking about it, it's not a happy discussion. But again, it's for the peace of mind of us being away, and even for her, she knows that I will be able to be there and make decisions for her. The other thing is only 2 in 5 millennials currently have a healthcare power of attorney in place. It's the same thing what I said. I mean, especially as they transition out of, to being an adult, they have no clue what they have to do because the parents used to take care of all of that, right? I think on my daughter's freshman year in college, she had bronchitis. So she had to go to the doctor by herself. And I'm like, do I need to run and drive there? And but she went to the doctor and then she would text me the whole time. This is so weird. You're not here. I'm so used to you being here. And for every question, she'll ask me how I know, did I get this vaccine? Did I do this? Did I do that? Because they don't know. And until they get to that place, and fortunately, it's just bronchitis for my daughter, but it could have been worse. And if she didn't know what to do, I mean, how am I to help her? Right. So it's better now that they are able to get this in place, to put this all in place.
Yeah.
More statistics, just so we know how people are talking about this or not talking about it enough. For older Americans, only 48% have designated a financial power of attorney. And this is important also. For older Americans, for people who are going into retirement, you need somebody there, or you need a document that will make sure that your financial assets are in order if something is to happen to you, or if you become incapacitated, because nobody will touch it. Everything will be frozen without, if something happens to you. 40% who have wills, advanced health, only 40% of older Americans have will, advanced health care directive, power of attorney, and financial power of attorney in place. So what's going on with the 60%? 40% is a low number to have all of that in place. 33% have not discussed later life and end of life plans with their family. So if you're not discussing it with family, who will know what you want,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's not just gonna be there. Um, I know this person. He is actually he's single. He's 75 years old, and he has no care. He doesn't care anymore what happens with this money when he passes away. But I said, but do you want the government to take care of that? Do you want the government to, who's going to take care of that for you? I don't care. I mean, okay, you don't care, but it's still your money. The government will take that. I mean, you have nieces. They're going to be fighting over it. Do you want them to fight over it? And so he put things in place for himself, at least. So I'm glad. 32% have not informed their family where to find legal, medical, financial documents if needed. And again, I go back to this person. You know what? He asked me one time, who's going to tell my sister um, if something happens to me here, because they're not in the same state. And how are they going to find things? I said, well, in your house, put everything together, put them in a folder or something, and mark it as such, and make sure you give the person, your executor, the information, so people will know, and at least they know you have the document. Because if you're not sharing it with anybody, how do they find it, right? So 32% only, and
Uh,
10%. This is powerful also. 10% of those earning between 100,000 to 150 have an up-to-date will. I
All
mean,
right.
100 to 150, that's not a lot, but still 10% only have a will.
Yeah.
What happens to that? I mean, it's still substantial compared to the average American, right? But what happens to that money? And only 15% of those earning more than 150 have an up-to-date will. The key is also, besides these are wealthier people, 100 more than 150. That's, you know from people earning 150,001 to billions of dollars. Only 15% have up-to-date wills.
That is kind of startling.
That's very low. Yes.
Yeah.
You go, what happens? I would assume that somehow they have things in place for their retirement, at that, if you're earning that much, own an up-to-date will. And that is also important because, for example, if you, just for a person who married twice, for example, if the original will has still the first wife or spouse on that will, and it's not up to date, and then, years and years already with the new family, everything goes to the first wife, right, or the first spouse.
Yeah.
So it is very important. I need to update mine as to to be honest, because my son is already 18 years old. I initially assigned my daughter to be the guardian because she was 19 then, so I need to update it again. But any stage of our life, we need to make sure that we have an updated will, because it doesn't really do much if it's not updated.
Yeah, definitely.
So, why do you think people lack estate plans? 47% of people who say they say they haven't gotten to it. 47%. I know um, a family specifically who shared that they talked about it all the time. The family, they talked about it all the time, but they never got to it. And then the father, who is the primary income earner, passed away, and they don't have it. So they didn't really, it became harder for all of them.
Right.
29% think they don't have enough assets to leave to anyone. My a friend of mine said, I don't have a lot, but I have a really nice set of pots and pans that I can give to my children, and I don't want them fighting over it. Like I said, even just antiques or a piece of furniture, some people fight over that, and it's not a good thing. I mean, I don't know if I told you this. I'm one of 9 children. I'm the eighth of 9, and when my parents passed away, my dad first and then my mom, it was, I think, a blessing in disguise that we didn't really have a lot of things to fight over, because there's 9 of us. They weren't able to really establish a lot of property and everything for themselves, because everything went to us. We were their assets, I would say. But
Right.
I can't imagine fighting over my 8 brothers and sisters for something that seems so small. And it does seem so small because we don't have that issue. But I've heard time and time again, I've known people who are fighting over their siblings because of one piece of furniture or one property, one lot. And it's not good. My grandmother, on my mom's side, her and her 2 siblings fought over properties until, I would say, they were in their 70s. And that's not a good place to be, fighting over, something. And that's because their parents didn't have a will. So let's not do that to our children. Let's not do that to our families.
Yeah.
We want them to bond when we're away. I mean, because they're the only ones they have. I mean, right?
Yeah.
I I only have 2 kids. If we're gone, I don't want them fighting. They're their own family. So, let's just not do that to them.
Yeah.
49% of people don't believe their assets are worth enough to worry about estate planning. I'm going to go through the next slide. I mean, the reason also why we want to do estate planning, because not only does that it can cause strife in families, it can also cost money. If we don't have things in place. 53% of Americans said it's difficult to find an advisor they trust to create an estate plan. I do agree with this because, you know, a lot of advisors have given the rest of advisors the bad name.
Yeah.
And I do understand that. But you will find people, trustworthy people, and also, if you only need the basic documents, it's readily available. There are things out there that you can purchase and pay for it, not a lot of money, and then you can use it. It's almost like in this world of DIYs, you can DIY your documents as well, unless you have a complicated plan. For me, I bought this I bought this software, and what it does, it gives me a template. So I only had to answer questions: who's your husband, who are your children, the age, etc., who's the executor. And then it comes out, based on the state you live, it comes out with a document. You can print it, go to the notary public, get it notarized, and that's it. I already have my will. And I only paid, I didn't pay a lot. I mean, I paid much, much less than what it would have cost me if I went to a lawyer. So it's not an excuse anymore. There are a lot of things. Like I said, in Staples, there is a last will and testament template that you can buy and you can just fill it out, right?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, is that the last one? Okay. So probate. Probate um, is the the process of changing ownership. Okay. So if you don't have a will, the rest of your estate goes to probate court. Okay. So that means the state, the government will assign somebody to take care of your estate, right? And that costs money, right? 3.8% of assets is the average probate court process cost. So if your assets total to, let's just say, $1 million, that's 30, right? 300,000, 30,000 to $8,000 to
Yeah.
$80,000 of
Yeah.
costs.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, because the families cannot pay for it outright, what they have to do is they have to sell property to be able to pay for the costs, or they have to borrow money to pay for the cost, which is not good, also. You're putting that burden. Yes, they'll eventually get the assets, but you're putting that burden on the families. What if they
Yeah.
don't have anything else? I mean, how are they going to pay for things like this? And it can take up to 2 years to get everything in process. I have a friend who's still going through it right now. Her sister passed away last year, sometime in July or August, I believe, and she's still working on that. And she has a mother, and then she's in the middle because her mother is elderly, and now she's also taking care of that for her. So it's over a year now, and they're still working on it. In California, it can take up to a year and a half. And usually, I think the average probate cost is about 15,000. Depending on how much the estate would be. 35% have either personal experience or know someone who has experienced family conflict as the result of not having an estate plan or comprehensive will. This is what I just said. I mean, people, if your estate goes into probate, it's public knowledge. They need to publish it and say the estate of Patricia Calling is in blah blah blah, and these are the properties or something. And that means anybody, even my friend from high school or college, can come in and say, "Oh wait, you can't give that to the family. Oh wait, this person is better to receive all those properties or anything." So you don't want that. I mean, if you want to everything to your family, just make sure they get it. Don't give
Yeah.
them that opportunity to, other people the opportunity to um fight it. Remember Prince, right? Prince passed away,
Yeah.
and he doesn't have a will or anything. And what happened was he is not in contact with his family, with immediate family, right? So what happened, the family came in and they wanted remember his songs, Prince. You can't find that on iTunes or anything, right? Because he didn't want to sell it. He want his own. So what they want to do, the family, is to release it and make money out of it. And what happens? The friends came in. The closest of friends came in and said, no, that's not what he wants. And I don't know if it's still ongoing in court, but that will take years and years, and it will take a lot of money to do that, to go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's just sad. I mean, let's just, like I said, it's the most thoughtful thing that we can do for our families. So people say that they get peace of mind having estate planning, and I do. I for one, I'm happy that I did that. What I do is I have mine and my husband's in a folder that I put in one place. So if something happens, people will see it right away. And if I'm traveling, especially with my kids, we have that on the bed, so if something happens, people will find it. 67% of Americans say they're often concerned about their family's long-term financial well-being. Well, if that's the case, then let's just get to it. Let's just do it. 74% of Americans said they would be more likely to create an estate plan if it helped lower their family's taxes. Again, there are other things that you can do to prevent taxes. And that is actually, we didn't talk about it. There is such a thing as a living trust. A living trust would actually allow you to kind of avoid taxes legally, because what's going to happen is if you create a living trust, it will be like its own entity, right? It's like a company, or it's like its own person. So you create this living trust. I am the trustee. My family members are trustees. What's going to happen is this living trust owns everything that we own. So rather than having me own the property, if something happens to me, because the living trust owns the property, there's no transfer of ownership. That means there's no estate. There's no estate tax.
Right.
That's how sometimes people, the rich, do this. The people who are wealthy do this because they know how money works and how to avoid taxes. Um, so if done correctly, you are able, and your family is able to stay away and avoid taxes legally,
Right.
right? 53% of Americans say they would feel more successful if they created an estate plan. Just knowing that your hard earned money will go to the right people, that's something that you can really just take off your mind. Our brain can, I like talking about the brains. Our brain can only think of so many things in one day. Everything else goes on the side. But if we can put this out on the side, then we have more space for better things, or things that could occupy our brain on a daily basis. So it
Yeah.
just takes that out of our the back of our minds.
Yeah.
The knowledge gap. Why are they afraid to create an estate plan? 74% of Americans believe it can be confusing. It really is not. I mean, we're just afraid. We're just afraid to try to understand what those are. 50% say they have a basic will, but they don't really believe that it protects them from probate court after they passed away. And again,
Right.
it's just, it's that knowledge thing that I don't know, I'm going to do this, but I don't know if it's going to happen. That's better than nothing. However, there are topics and there are ways to learn this now. 47% of Americans knew that proper estate planning can, in fact, provide tax protection. And 42% of Americans knew that estate planning can be used to facilitate the transfer of a business. If you have your own business, this is very important. You need to have a business plan as far as if something happens to you, who's going to take care of it. If you have a partner, you need to have a clause that would either give your partner the ability to buy it from you, or have your beneficiaries or your family take over, those kinds of provisions that can be done on an estate plan, on a will, or on a trust, or any other document.
Right.
So if we haven't really done our estate planning, the best time to start is now. A lot of people, we say the best time was 2 years ago. However, if you haven't done it, now is the best time to do that. Now, if you don't have, if there are things that are not quite clear, Google is there, or you can go to a lot of estate planning websites out there. Like I said, there's a information is out there. If it gets too confusing, you can always ask. If you once this is posted, put your comments in your questions in the comments. I will answer it. I will look at it constantly, and I'll give you whatever I can give. And there are do-it-yourself things out there. The one that I use specifically has can take care of a lot of the documents that I need. Most of, even a lot of that I don't need. And if I do need a lawyer to review it with me, I just pay a little bit extra to have them look over the documents. And again, it's a fraction compared to one document that you go to directly to a lawyer to. There are things out there, and if you want, I'll share that. I don't want to say it now, but I'll share what I used. um
So
but I'm sure there.
if you have nothing at all,
Yeah.
the easiest, smallest first step is to go and pick up one of these kits and go through it and understand what is being asked and kind of the structure of that document, at least as a first step.
Yes.
You could do that in a couple hours probably.
Yes. And if you I've seen, if you just Google it, um living will, and there are templates out there. There are templates that you can download. If you have nothing, go to Staples. I think for I don't know how much. I mean, a friend of mine has a friend, and she was talking to her about that, and she said, "You know what? I saw that in Staples," and she said, "Now go right now, right now, go to Staples, do it right now, because, you know, just like in this pandemic, how many people have we lost? I mean, I wonder how many of those people have wills and how many don't have wills.
Yeah.
And we don't want to be in that situation and then rush through things. So just if you have nothing, Google it. I'd be glad to give you maybe a breakdown of what it also have. A regular will has just a breakdown, an executor, guardian, and those kinds of things. But even if you just look it up, you will find it anywhere. So if you
Yeah.
do have any other questions, send me a note or comment your questions. I'll answer all of them. I'll share documents if I need to. And if you have any other questions, let me know.
All right. Well, that was great, Tracy. That was very informative and definitely is giving me uh, some forward steps with my little plan here too. So that's great. Um, I hope everybody got a lot out of it. And as always, it's been valuable having you on here, and I hope that we're going to be able to have you on again sometime soon.
Definitely, definitely. I'm free anytime for you. So just let me know if you have specific topics as well. I'm gonna, and I can come back and just give you that information.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. All right. Thanks a lot, Tracy,
Thank you.
and
Thanks, everyone.
we will see you soon.
All right. Bye bye.
All right. So that is a cut.